Welcome back to The Watchman and our special look inside Yad Vashem. Now to the conclusion of the story about the teenage girl named Rivka and how she faced unbelievable odds to survive the Holocaust. Once again, here's our tour guide, Malky Weisberg.
Rivka arrives in Warsaw with a new identity and works for a young couple that has a little girl, and everything's going okay for about 2 weeks. Christmas Eve, her employers had some family members for dinner, and she had to help serve the dinner. And when she walked in with the tray, the man who was sitting at the table, one of the guests, was a man from her town. Obviously, her cover was blown very quickly because he said, "Miss Rivka," with a lot of respect. She was the rabbi's daughter. "What are you doing here?" She almost dropped the tray of food. The employers obviously understood what was going on. And the next morning, the woman said to her, "Look, we're very happy with you. You're lovely with our child, but it's too dangerous for us to keep you. We will not give you to the police, but you have to leave our home." She's in a city with 1 million people with no money and a false identity. Where is she going to go? But she had such a will to live that she bought a newspaper, she looked in the want ads, and she found another job. And this happened to her 3 times, that she was suspected of being a Jew and she had to run. And the last time, the Poles had an uprising against the Nazis, and they lost miserably. Many Poles were taken prisoners, among them Rivka, as a Pole. Every morning she would wake up and think, what if they suspect I'm a Jew today? And for 8 long months, this fear and terror went on until finally Rivka arrived with the group to Schleswig, Germany. But the British were there, the war was over, and they were going to be freed. With great excitement and hope, she went to the British officer who was interviewing all the prisoners of the Germans. And she said, "These are my papers." And he said, "Paulina Wilanska?" She goes, "Not really. Really, my name is Rivka Willig. I'm a Jewish girl who's been living under false identity to survive. And I want to go back to my people. I want to be able to be a Jew again, and I want to find out what happened to my family." Rivka was taken to a DP camp right near Bergen-Belsen called Cella, where she was able to be a Jew again, to have kosher food, to celebrate the Sabbath, to be with other Jews. But she, in 3 short weeks, found out that her entire family had been murdered. Rivka was alone in the world, but what happened to her fiancé? There was a rabbi in Bergen-Belsen who took her under his wing. He knew her family from before. And he said, "Rivka, you go back to studying." She was studying to be a teacher. She was already teaching in the DP camp. "I will look for your fiancé, and I'll give you updates." And at the end of the year, the rabbi called her to his office and said, "Rivka, I'm so sorry, but we can't find him. And the odds are that he's not alive. And we really think that you have to accept that and try to marry somebody else." Rivka, as we know her from the story, was not a person to be easily told what to do. She had an opinion, and if she believed in something, she did it. And she believed that her fiancé was alive. And she said, "I cannot marry anyone else until I go back to the last place where he was hiding 3.5 years ago and try to find him. And if I don't, I will come back." And that Friday, before the Sabbath, before Rivka was traveling, the rabbis were sitting in their offices dealing with a lot of Jewish legal problems that came up after the war. And a young man came into the office as they were getting ready to close up for the Sabbath, and he says, "Excuse me, could someone help me?" And the 3 rabbis with their long white beards look at him and said, "We're really sorry, but it's the end of the day. Please come back Sunday." He looked so broken that one of the rabbis said, "Wait, I'm walking out, walk out with me, and we'll see, maybe." He said, "I'm looking for my bride. We were engaged. We lost each other now 3.5 years. I knew the name that she assumed, her Polish name. I went back to Warsaw to look for her. Nobody knows what I'm talking about." And the rabbi said, "What was her name?" Her name was Rivka Willig, and the rabbi turned as white as his beard. And he said, "You can stop your search." And Yisrael got very scared. He said, "What happened?" "She's alive. She's fine." And Rivka and Yisrael were reunited and married in a DP camp in 1946. And I am their 4th child. This is the story of my parents, and this is why I work in Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem believes in keeping the memories alive, and so obviously do survivors and second generations.
Admit it, you did not see that ending coming. Thanks so much to Malky Weisberg for an incredible story and an incredible tour of an amazing place, Yad Vashem. Coming up, my final thoughts on why the Holocaust matters to you today as a follower of Jesus. It's The Watchman. It's Christians United for Israel, only right here on TBN. Stick around.